I want to talk about tuxedos and how they make the night magical. I had a great experience, a lovely night, and I attribute a large part of that to just owning and wearing a tuxedo. It all started with a black tie event. Well, the search for a black tie event. I was in the mood for something fancy. So I searched up a black tie event in the area and I found a gala. This particular gala was a fundraiser for a creative arts high school in Washington, D.C. I was living in that area at the time. These students were filmmakers and they used other mediums to create as well. But this gala was centered around a film festival featuring short stories made by the students. They also gave away awards, and the goal was to raise money. So it was pretty much a fundraiser. And I don't remember if this one had a reception, because I actually went to a few of their galas, my girl and I. But I don't remember the reception, but I do remember the event. The films were well produced. It was beautiful. But before I even get to that night, knowing that I was going to attend a black tie affair, I had to buy a tuxedo. Now, I owned a few from some weddings I had participated in the past, but these weren't really that James Bond type of tuxedo. These were a little flashier, blues and things of that nature. So I set out to buy my very first tuxedo. I found one, had it tailored. It was perfect. At this time, I had a tailor that I was working with regularly, so she knew how I liked my stuff. It was on point. What also made it a good night was the hotel we stayed at. I lived in Maryland, but we were going to stay in D.C. My girl found a historic hotel called the Henley. And I'm a big fan of the classic. I like boutique hotels over chains any day. So when she found the Henley, I was thrilled. It had a brick semicircle driveway in front. It was beautiful. Had a fireplace, had a bar. Really nice place. So she had her gown, I had my tux, and we had a classy place to stay. So on that night, everything was usual. We stopped at the hotel, we got dressed, we headed out. We got to the event. We had special seating, which was kind of a ripoff, because I remember specifically paying extra for some sort of preferential treatment or preferential seating. But when we got there, we were just kind of corralled into the usual seats. So that's something funny that we laugh about. That was a bit of a ripoff, but overall, the night was good. We really celebrated the kids, and we were both surprised at the level of work they produced. Sometimes we associate deep emotions with adults, and we forget that even children, people of all ages can really express profound feelings when given the right medium, the right outlet, the right motivation. A lot of their stories centered around love and love lost. So it was a beautiful night. There were a few celebrities, in attendance, local celebrities. And it was beautiful. Everyone was dressed nicely. And we felt good with the tuxedo and the gown on. That night, I don't remember if we stopped anywhere for dinner. It was probably too late. But I do remember when we got back to the hotel, I heard music playing. Remember I mentioned there was a bar attached to the hotel. Well, really connected to the lobby. And I heard live music playing. It was like some smooth jazz. And there I was with my tux. I walked down the hallway. I got to the bar. I stopped at the doorway. And here's where I attribute it all to the tux. Right? Perfect James Bond type of night. I'm standing in the doorway, and there's like some, I guess, middle-aged or senior citizen band members playing live jazz. And they're grooving too. And I lean on one side of the threshold, and there's an old black guy, probably like in his 60s, playing one of those big basses. And he looked over at me across the room in the doorway. And he gave a nod, like, And I gave a nod back, like. And if I could just, like, take a snapshot of that moment, that's life right there. You know, truly a moment that one could bask in. Perfect. I wouldn't have changed anything about that night or that moment, you know. And I owe it all to the tuxedo. I think he knew that we were on business that night. And now I'm always looking for an excuse to put my tuxedo back on. The magic of a tux.